Hi leaders, Pastor Craig here back with the video. I know it's been a while and I have missed doing these as a way to just dive in and hopefully encourage you. We have obviously started our Galatians series, a series that has been turning our hearts to examine and examine and examine again the gospel, but then also to hold it up as a mirror into our lives, to see, are we, the ones who speak about the gospel, actually living in accordance with the gospel? I love the truth from last week from Galatians chapter 2, where Paul says that I've been crucified with Christ, and it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. And the life I now live, I live by faith in the Son of God, who loved me and gave himself for me. I love that passage, not just for the truth it contains, but also for the timing of when Paul wrote that. He wrote that at least 14 or even 15 years into knowing Christ. So he's been saved, he's been walking with Christ, he's been a missionary to the Gentiles, and he is still saying, the life I now live, I live by faith in the Son of God. And I think that's a big picture understanding of what we've been learning in Galatians, namely this, that the gospel is not just the key that gets you in, it's the everyday breathing that we as Christians need to be holding fast to. And that's the whole point of this whole series, to soak our hearts in the gospel and to remember that we never, ever, ever leave it alone. All right, so this weekend we're starting in chapter 3. We turn into just the first 5 verses in chapter 3, again moving slowly, moving intentionally, and I love how chapter 3 begins. It begins this way: "O foolish Galatians, who has bewitched you?" I love this. What a great start. What an intention grabber, right? Like, what's wrong with you guys? Are you guys under some kind of spell or something? Have you forgot something so critical? And the question that he's going to ask them is, why have you forgotten the gospel? Because the way that you start your life in Christ and the way you're living now, Galatia and Galatian churches, is not the same thing. You started by faith, and now you're trying to perfect yourself by works. You've abandoned the gospel. So again, another weekend where we can dive into these truths, another weekend where we can call ourselves to reflect upon whether or not maybe we are in the category of foolish Galatians as well. All right, well, I just wanted to share that with you. That's the direction we're heading this weekend. But you may have noticed I'm in a different room. This is actually our prayer chapel here in South Austin. I don't know if you knew this, but this was the second building that was built. The first building sits right through that wall there, and it was the gymnatorium, the multi-purpose gym, which is needing some repairs. But then the second building was this chapel for prayer, to come and to pray. And I'm sitting here today because not only am I praying, but also I want to remind you, use it as a visual, to remind you that we have a prayer meeting this Sunday, 4 p.m. out in Dripping Springs. And we would love to see you out there. In fact, you're going to hear more details in the Friday weekly update that all of our church gets. But we would love to have you come on out, love to have you join us for prayer. Again, as we seek the Lord, as we ask Him for help, as this new ministry year begins, we would be very foolish. We'd be in the category of the Galatians even. Oh, foolish Bannockburn! Are we who've begun by faith now trying to perfect ourselves in our flesh? And the answer to that is, oh, may it never be, Lord. Help us to fight and wage that battle and to trust in you even as we begin this new year. So, with that tone in mind, I'd just like to encourage you leaders to please join us again at Dripping Springs, 4 o'clock this Sunday afternoon, as we do just that, as we seek the Lord with prayer. All right, God bless. Thanks again for serving and loving your people. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.